The Rock and Roll and Coffee Show is brought to you by Writers and Rockers Coffee Company, keeping the music and memories alive with some damn good coffee. Be sure to pick up your Rock and Roll and Coffee Show coffee only at writersandrockerscoffee.com. And also brought to you by Retroactive, located at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, keeping you retro with everything from 70s, 80s, and 90s. ShopRetroactive.com. Hey folks, Joe Sibilia here, and welcome to another episode of the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Before we get started, if you're listening to this episode in audio format or watching on Sunset Island Roku channel, please head over to YouTube and join our YouTube family. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment. All those things help support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. Now, in this episode, my guest is musician Louis Svitek. Louis has performed in many different bands such as M.O.D, Mindfunk and Ministry, just to name a few. Louis talks about his journey through these bands, thoughts on a Mindfunk reunion, which I would love to see, and so much more. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts on a Mindfunk reunion. Thanks so much for watching.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Yeah, with Joe.
You're in Chicago now?
I am in Chicago now. I mean, I'm from Chicago, so yes, but I am in Chicago now.
Okay. Where do you live right now?
I live in Yorkville, Illinois.
Is that by Chicago? I'm not familiar.
It's about an hour and 20 minutes from where I'm at right now.
Okay. Okay.
So it's about an hour and 20 outside of the city.
I see. And you grew up in Chicago, you said?
I did grow up in Chicago.
So what was, when you were getting into music, what was the music scene like at that time?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Who?
You know, I mean, it was, you know, it's a lot different now than it was back then. Everything was live and heavy and loud, and you know, Chicago scene was thriving, punk rock, metal. You know, I lived by the Cabaret Metro. You know, the Metro in Chicago. It's
I know of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I mean, it's everybody's played there, but I grew up right there in that area. Went to school around there. And then playing in bands, I had the opportunity to kind of like, that was kind of like home away from home, playing there all the time. All the bands that I played with in Chicago, we played at the Metro, Cubby Bear down the street, Medusas. I mean, you know,
what were the Chicago bands that were happening at that time?
Oh man, you know, we had E-Trope going on. You know, you had Witch Slayer. I was in a band called Mayhem Incorporated, Lost Cause, Naked Ray Gun. You know, man, I got to dig deep. It's been a long time. It's been a long time, but
yeah. When are we talking? When was this?
So you know, I graduated in '81 from high school.
Okay.
And I just started playing, you know, started playing, and right away was playing in bars with the band I was in. We were doing covers at that time. But a year after that, I got together with a whole group of people and had a band called The Assault. And that's when things started to kick in for me. And we were playing at the Metro, and at a lot of the Tuts was another venue that was very popular in Chicago. But we had the opportunity to open up for Metallica and Raven.
Nice.
At the Cabaret Metro. It was a great, you know, that was the first time Metallica ever came to Chicago.
What was that like?
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Was that Kill 'Em All?
Oh, that was Kill 'Em All.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was Kill 'Em All. And they actually came back, I think it was last year, to do like an anniversary of that show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which
with Raven?
Pardon?
Was Raven there?
No,
okay.
Raven was not there. It was just Metallica. It would have been great if Raven was there, but you know, it was a whole, you know, production, but they came back and they played, and you know, the place was packed. I heard. I didn't go to the show, but you know,
that must have been awesome to see, though.
I would. everybody I know that went to see it said it was amazing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Were you a metal fan when you were a kid?
yeah, metal. I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of Spanish music, but
Okay.
big Kiss fan. You know, Black Sabbath. Carlos Santana was a big influence for in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
Uh, because I was into Santana, Neil Sean was a big influence for me because he played with Santana when he was really young.
Sure.
A lot of those records. So, but I was into Journey. But then started getting into the metal scene and big German metal. I loved Scorps. Michael
Yes.
Schenker, maybe my number one favorite guitar player.
He's your guy.
He's the guy. Frank Marino was right there with him,
Okay.
but then as things started to get heavier,
Okay.
so
Yeah. So all that stuff had an influence on you. Now, when you formed Mindfunk,
right.
what year was that?
So Mindfunk was like a 1989-ish, I want to say, 80, like, I did M.O.D from like 80. It's a kind of a blur, but I'm gonna try to put the years
Yes,
together.
yeah.
M.O.D was kind of like 87 to 88. It was very short lived. And then I stayed in New York with John Monty. We became roommates and we started to put Mindfunk together around 88, 89.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit to MOD. I mean, you went to New York to join them?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I
How'd that
was in
happen?
touring and we wound up playing a festival in Arizona and MOD was one of the bands playing and I started talking to Billy right away and we traded numbers and he called me out of the blue and he's like, I'm gonna start auditioning guitar players. You want to do it? Audition, come out and check it out. And I was like, yeah, I can't pass up an opportunity like that. So I definitely did that and went to out to New York and we hung out and played some music together and I came back home, sold a bunch of stuff, and went back to New York and started playing with M.O.D.
Nice. And that's when you
Yeah,
met John?
John Monty.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, MOD, I remember MOD being when I was a kid. I was never really into it too much. I
right.
was more into I guess the poppier rock, like the Motley Crues and
Sure, sure.
that kind of stuff. But I lived in Florida at the time and we used to skate and surf. So a
Right
lot of my
on.
friends were into MOD.
Cool.
I remember that you guys had like a shark
Yeah, we
on
had
your covers.
the surfing MOD was
That
kind of
is,
like the beach
yeah.
record, was the whole concept record that Billy wanted to do. So we did it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you play on that album?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I
And
did.
is that the only one you played on?
No, and I played on the second record, which was Gross Misconduct, and I played on that album, and we did a video for that, and the song was Gross Misconduct. No, actually, what was the song? The video was True Colors, which was a very popular song that we had on that record.
That had a shark on it as well, right?
Yes, it did.
I
Like the most,
remember the album
yeah.
covers.
So I think so. When I came in, we did surfing MOD, and then yeah, he kept the little shark
Yeah.
motif in there.
Hmm.
That's right.
I remember it. I remember
Yeah.
seeing that cassette at parties. So okay, so you're in MOD for you said it was short lived, so about a year or so.
About a year and a half. Things weren't going well. Some changes. Billy was going through some changes, and I went out there. I mean, like it was for me, it was like, I I put everything. Like I said, I came back to Chicago. I got rid of all my stuff and started brand new. With music and everything in New York. I was like, man, I'm not ready to go back to Chicago. So me and John started talking. We started messing around with music, and we we because we were managed by the Zazulas, Johnny and Marcia Zazula, Craze Management. Uh, we were like, we're going to try to put a band together, and they kind of like hung out with us and helped us get through it. And we started audition people, and they were backing us the whole way. So we auditioned singers, drummers. We had the other guitar player, Jason Coppola, was in a band with John Monty called Chemical Waste.
Right.
And they played together, so that's how Jason got in the band,
Okay.
Coppola. And then we met Reed came and auditioned, St. Mark's, Celtic Frost. Then we started to do singers, and Pat Dubar, Uniform Choice. He came to audition, and that's how the band came to be.
I see.
Yeah.
So kind of, I mean, I would say maybe like hardcore MOD was, and in that genre. So all you hardcore guys kind of came together to form Mind Funk.
Yes. And the music was a little
Interesting.
different. It was heavy, but it had a little bit of a funk groove to it, a little hard funk groove to it.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I mean, it just happened. We just started jamming, and we started coming up with songs that were just a little bit different, and we kind of
Yeah.
stuck with that. And it was really fun, and it was actually, some of it was pretty heavy, and some of it was kind of mainstream rock. But it was fun. I mean, we got a lot of fans from it. We toured Europe like crazy. It was I think we were a little more popular in Europe than the States.
Really? It's funny how that happens.
Yeah, it was really strange. Like, we would go to Europe, and it was like great. We were playing festivals and doing theaters and opening up for Slayer and stuff like that. We did 6 weeks with Slayer out there.
Wow, that's a long
Yeah,
time.
it
Six
was it
weeks.
was crazy. So and when we come back to the States, we were doing more like, the club scenes,
Hmm.
smaller clubs and stuff like that. So
Hmm. So when you formed, I mean, how long did it take for you five guys to get together till you found everybody?
it took a good year, or good,
Really?
yeah, 6 months to a year. And then it just started to happen real fast.
And this was when? Where are we at now?
I'm
Where?
say 89-ish or close to 90,
Okay, so you
1990.
got signed pretty quickly then, because that first album came out early '91.
Yeah, so since we were already managed by Crazed Management, we were doing showcases in the room we were rehearsing in, and Johnny and Marcia would set them up, and labels would come check us out, and we wound up getting a deal with Epic Records
Out of rehearsal.
out of yeah, or
Okay,
showcase. It was more of a glorified, it was a stage, little setup, and little, some lights.
but there wasn't a crowd.
No crowd, just label people, A&R.
Is that a little awkward?
You know, it might have been a little awkward.
Yeah.
It wasn't awkward I didn't feel awkward at the time, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it was pretty crazy. Yeah, it was just people would come, and we had a couple producers come that like that as well to
Hmm.
check out the band. I mean, we wound up recording in Denmark with
Yes.
this Danish guy, Jan Eliasson.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Denmark because why did it? I mean, a new band. Why did you spend that money to go record in Denmark?
Well, it was kind of a management put it together, and we went out there, and we were, I mean, like, Denmark's cool, and we went out there. We were like, I think we all fell in love with it, and the idea of going out there and doing it. And the record, I can't remember the name of the band. Megaforce was working with a band that was from Denmark, and that record sounded amazing. And that's how we hooked up with Jan Eliasson, who produced that. I can't even remember the name of the band. And that's how that all went down, you know.
I see.
I mean,
I see.
we were out there for like 4 months. It
Right.
was great.
Yeah, because I think I have it right here, actually,
Yeah.
the cassette.
Well, right,
Yeah.
right on.
And you guys actually had a clear cassette. I
Oh,
remember when they went
nice.
from white to clear. That was the
I do
coolest thing.
remember that. Yeah.
But in here, you guys produced it as well, right? It's a
Yeah, we
yeah.
were, but Yen was like, it was crazy because, after making so many demos, I mean, I recorded with Alex Periellis, and he did SOD and Anthrax and so many bands, but Yen was crazy, man. It was like the first time I ever saw a guy like edit tape. Like it was crazy. Like he would edit the drums together, and it was an experience.
Yeah, there's no digital.
No, dude, it was amazing. Like, I'll fix that, chop up the tape, boom, boom, boom. And it was like, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
When
it
you look
was.
back at that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And he pulled out a lot of guitar out of me, I mean, I was into playing, a little speed and stuff like that, but he got me to play a lot more melodic on that record with the solos. And he was relentless with that. It was like, I remember going back and do it again, do it again. That was the first time I ever had that, you know what I mean? Like, but and a lot of those solos, they came out great,
Yeah, that's
you
a
know.
great record. Now, was
Yeah.
that difficult for you to do that with him having you redo things? Was that hard for you as
It wasn't difficult, but it was tedious, because
Mm,
I was used to going in the studio and just banging it out, you know what I
mhm.
mean? And but he was just uh writes more like a composition when we were doing the solos, you know what I mean? Like put these parts together, make it a little
Mhm.
more melodic, a little more musical. And it changed the way I played for sure.
Mm.
It was definitely a learning experience. And he
How
did it
many?
with everybody, with John Monty. A lot of the bass stuff on that record's great.
Yeah,
With the bass with distortion and delays and wah-wahs. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah. How many songs did you guys have going into the studio to record?
We had, I want to say 12 songs going into this, 12 or 13.
How many are on this record? I don't even know.
I want to say 10, 9 or
I can't
10.
even. I can't even see it. I'm old now.
Yeah, yeah. And then we had a couple of songs that didn't make that record that we recorded as well
Okay.
while
Did
we
they
were
ever get
there.
released?
So, they actually did get released. I'm trying to remember. Uh, was the "Let Me Touch You" remix, and not Sister Blue. God, my mom actually has that record in here somewhere in the house. The album,
This one?
not that one.
Oh,
It was like a special release.
okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
Um, okay, so you recorded the record, and then I think if I recall, the first single off this was Big House Burning.
Big House Burning,
Okay.
and
Did
then
you
we filmed that with H Gun in Chicago.
in Chicago? Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like a fun video. Was that fun to record?
Oh, it was really fun,
Mm-hmm.
and those guys, they were like just becoming they were getting pretty popular too with all the film they were doing with other bands.
Okay.
I mean, they did the Nine Inch Nails video, uh, God, and at the exit, the original exit, where he's hanging upside down in the video. It's like
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of the
yeah.
first videos. They did that video as well. They did a lot of other videos, but they were very popular. But that came out great. That we went into a building that was probably 150 years old, and but they had just fixed the entire basement and all the mechanicals repainted. All the chrome was all redone. So we recorded a lot of this stuff down there, spraying water everywhere. And then they went to another place where I used to go swimming when I was a kid, Lincoln Hall, and they recorded all the stuff with Pat and the swimming pool and stuff like that,
Right.
and the water shots.
Nice.
Yeah,
Was
it
the
was fun.
concept of the video theirs, or did you guys
It was theirs.
Okay.
It was theirs. Yeah, they put the whole thing together.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So you guys released that song, and then that was kind of a strange time in music, I think.
it was. Yes, very.
That was
Things
like,
were changing.
yes, you guys fell right, like a few bands, right in the worst spot you could probably fall.
Probably yes.
Um,
If I would have done it all over again, I wouldn't have changed what we were doing. And that was one of the things that I think was bad for the band, is that we kind of changed our musical direction a little bit. And even though Dropped was really a cool record, you know, we got a little grungy, but tried to maintain a little metal. And, it was, it was weird.
well, I think the first record would have fit right in with the stuff that was coming in.
Right.
And I'm not sure, the thoughts on the record company, if because it came out when it did, it was still considered to be part of the first group. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. It
But
was
yeah, that
very, it
that
was a
record
very,
is very would have definitely fit in with the Pearl Jams and Soundgardens, and
yeah.
because
I
Pearl Jam's first
agree with
record came
you.
out 5 months after yours.
Yeah. But that whole scene just exploded.
Yeah,
It was just one huge orgasm of just music,
yeah,
that all these bands that were fantastic.
right.
So
And then after Big House Burning, you guys released uh,
Sister Blue,
Sister Blue, which
yeah,
leaned more towards the late
So-
80s stuff than
yeah,
it did. So it was
yeah.
almost like
And,
almost
and
backwards.
and what happened with that is at that time all the bands were doing that. They were releasing a like a kind of a hard song, and then the second song was like a ballad. So it was the weird thing happening in the music scene like that back then.
Hmm.
I would have definitely picked a different song if I had another chance to do that again.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's interesting. Now, if a lot of people say that grunge killed, the rock that was in the 80s, which I
yeah,
totally disagree with. I don't agree with that. I think it killed itself.
right.
I think it got oversaturated.
I agree,
People
and
were
I
ready
agree
for
with you.
Yeah, people were ready
Yeah,
for something new, and that's what came out, and that was it.
exactly.
Um,
And
but
it
do you?
and it happened with that as well. I mean, it just got saturated.
Yeah,
10
quick.
years, it was just like a flash in the pan.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when you released your album, did you know of the Pearl Jams coming up, and
I
or
did
did
not.
not
I
yet?
did
Okay,
not yet. No.
I was just curious if you did because
Yeah.
your releases were so close together. If you already knew
Yeah,
what
we
was
were
about
on,
that.
we were doing the East Coast. We were out in the East Coast, and not realizing that South West thing was going down like it
Hmm.
was.
Hmm.
But I did know of like bands like Mother Love Bone.
Yeah,
I was listening to that. I love that.
yeah.
You know,
Great band that was.
yeah, it was that. It's just that wasn't really grunge to me. That was
Hmm.
more rock. It was more
Yeah,
of a rock and roll thing happening there. But yeah, I mean that whole thing changed a lot. Changed a lot for a lot of bands.
hmm.
You know,
Now on the first record, I mean, you guys got on some pretty good tours, I think, right?
we got on some very good tours. Yeah. We toured we did some we opened up for Faith No More, King's X. We did some stuff with Anthrax. We actually got to do a couple shows with Rage, in the very, very, very beginning, like before it was even a thing. And Testament, some uh and then Europe, we did a lot of festivals in Europe, Roskilde. We did the Slayer tour, which was a great tour in Europe.
Hmm.
So I
Did
mean,
did you
yeah,
guys play? Are you familiar with 98 Rock in Tampa, Florida? They had a livestock show, it was called.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if we
Because I was
did.
trying to remember if I saw you guys, and I want to think I did at that because they used to have
Yeah,
all the bands come through there.
right.
I don't remember. I'll have to
I,
look that up.
I I do remember playing Florida quite a bit with Mindfunk,
Okay.
going through there, and hitting a lot of clubs,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that's what we were doing in the United States. It was just club tours.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so you're out touring. Did the label pull you off the road to record the second album, or?
Well, after that record, things were changing with the band, and I can't even like remember you know, how it went down, but we decided to make a personnel change, and it's the whole
Mhm.
grunge thing is happening. The music, we were all living together. There was some, there, like any band, there were some things happening, and so we decided to get another drummer, and that's when we got Jason Everman in the band,
Mhm.
and that's when things started changing for us musically, and we started kind of leaning towards the grunge sound a little bit. So Sean Johnson, he was from Seattle. Then we had Jason Everman, who was if I correct, from up that way as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because he played with Nirvana and Soundgarden,
Right.
so he was up from that area. So
Right.
so the band went through another cycle there, and we recorded with Terry Date, and we went to Seattle to do that because the label was trying to push towards that, and it was and that's how it went down, but like I said, if I the beginning of Mindfunk, that embryonic part of the band to me was, like you said, I wouldn't have changed, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
we tried to do that change because we were kind of getting pushed towards that change a
Mhm.
little bit. And it just didn't, the record came out really good. I'm proud of that record because that was a live record. We
Okay.
recorded that record live, so I'm really proud of that record. And we did it with Terry Date, you know, it was kind of a weird time then, and things were kind of changing for everybody
Right.
in the band.
Mhm.
The ministry thing started knocking at my door.
Did that happen during that second record?
Yeah, it
Okay.
did. The Al kept bugging me to do, hey man, you want to do this? You want to come out? You want to do this? You want to come out? And I finally said, after we were done recording that record, that's what I did.
Did
I
you
went
know Al?
straight on that tour.
How'd you guys meet?
I met Al and in the Chicago scene, and we started talking, and he invited me to the studio, and he was recording a Revolting Cocks record, and he was like, you want to play some guitar? And I was like, sure. And I played on a couple tracks on the Finger Licking Good record, and that's how we kind of our relationship began,
Gotcha.
and then he was played some other stuff for me, and when they came through um, New Jersey with Lollapalooza, I went to go see him, and he was like, hey, you want to play a couple songs? And I was like, sure, and I did Supernaut with them, and it just happened. He was like, okay, you got to come out and do some shows with us, so that's how
Mhm.
that all kind of went down.
So then at that time, I think, so this was what, like 92, 93.
90, right, 92. Yes, it was
So
92.
Ministry was pretty big at that time, if I
Oh, it
recall.
was just pop. They were just getting ready to pop. Yeah,
So that was almost a no-brainer for you
it
because
was,
Mind Funk
yeah,
was going this way, Ministry was
yeah,
going this way.
yeah. So,
Hmm. But you
I
did
mean,
release a third Mind Funk record.
we did do a third. So I did the ministry tour with Sepultura and Helmet on that tour. Came back. We were still a band. They knew I was going to do the tour. I let them know. We took a break. And then when I came back from that tour, we went straight on the road, and then a bunch of stuff started happening. Jason Everman was out of the band, and then John Monty quit, and we had to find a bass player. We had to find another guitar player.
Ugh.
I mean, we went through like 3 bass players, 2 guitar player. I mean, it just, it was crazy. And we were like, we had a few other songs we wanted to record, so we wound up coming to Chicago and grabbing a bass player that I knew from Chicago, Frank Chompy, that played in a couple of bands out here, and we recorded People Who Fell from the Sky.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plus a bunch of other tunes that were sitting on that never got released that are really fucking great, but I don't know if they're ever going to come out.
You still have them?
I do, and we're like, I've talked to Pat Dubar about it, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But
why not?
I don't know.
Do you own the rights to them?
We do, together we do.
That's good.
You know what I mean? For me, I would never. I can't do it. Like, I've had people go, "Oh, just put it out, get another singer," and
Yeah.
I can't do that because it's not. It wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those songs, it was that entity of me and him, and even Sean Johnson. He was an awesome drummer, one of my favorite drummers, that I've ever played with, but that got really weird, and the Ministry thing started getting deeper, and the band kind of fell apart. We released the record, and everybody moved on and did their own thing.
Mm-hmm. So going from Mindfunk to Ministry, I mean, it's kind of 2 different genres of music, still heavy in rock, but a little bbit different, more industrial on the Ministry side. Is it different as a guitar player to be in that kind of band?
Yeah, because it was like, it went from like Mindfunk was a little loose and, organic, and Ministry was just like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Like a click track, every song was like on the money,
Yeah.
And
did you ever play like that before?
Well, I grew up playing to a click track, because I studied, classical guitar when I was young and practiced to a meter all the time. So I was used to doing that, but playing in a situation with a band like that, never.
Did it take a little bit to get used to?
Yeah, I actually, I remember when I was going on tour in 92 and the decision was made. I literally had like a week to learn like 22 songs.
Oh man.
It was crazy. Like, I would go to the studio, we would mix, I'd go back to where I was staying. I was learning songs left and right. I came back to Chicago, rehearsed for 3 days, and we were on tour.
Oh man.
So it was pretty crazy. It was a challenge. It was fun,
Were you already familiar with the songs, or were these all fresh songs?
I was familiar because I was listening to it already.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was already listening to it. I was already a fan. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I was already digging it. So
that makes it a little easier.
Yeah, and it was really fun to play, and and I liked where he was going. He was like, I want to, because before I was in the band, there was like 5 guys playing guitar and 2 drummers, and his idea of putting together a core, but he had Mike Scascia in the band. Mikey was an amazing guitar player, so his idea of getting 2 guys who could play their instruments well, and then a solid drummer, good keyboardist, just keep a nice core together and just make it heavy, and it was great,
Right. How long were you in that band, in Ministry?
1992 till about 2002.
Oh, a long time.
A long time, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was well, and the journey was interesting, you know what I mean? It was an interesting journey.
Sure. So in 2002, I mean, why did you leave, or what happened there?
Things were changing, with that situation, Al and Paul, they weren't they weren't clicking, and the band was starting to kind of like fade. And I mean, they were the core, you know, and they were just breaking, and you know, and I had the opportunity to stick it out, but I was already tired, you know. I was just like, okay, it's not what it was, and I think it's time for a life change.
Okay.
And I just came, you know, back to Chicago.
Did you continue music or no?
Yeah, you know, I tried to do some music. I tried to put a label together, which I did. I'm still doing, but you know, yeah, recording music with friends, and I wound up doing my label Woolly Records with my partner Ryan McGuire, and we're still working together. We're actually producing music for people still. You know, I mean, I got a regular gig. I work with the IATSE Stagehand Union out here, local
Okay.
too, you know, and still in the music biz, just on the other side of it, you know.
Sure.
You know, and enjoying it that way right now.
Yeah. So you're happy.
I'm happy, you
Yeah.
know. You know, life has been has had its rough bumps this last year, but yeah, I'm happy, and things are cool. You know, and I release a couple things here and there. Under I work with a project called Tito White and the High Class Gypsies, and then I released a song during the pandemic with that project. And then I did a song under my last name, Svitek Technology is what I call it. And I released a tune last year, and I'm thinking about releasing a few tunes this summer, you
Okay.
know, just putting out and then just doing it that way, you know what I mean? And
Have you ever
enjoying it.
considered a band again?
You know, I think about it, you know, when I
Kind
see
of
a
a pain in the ass, right?
well, you know, when you see a really good band, you get the itch. Is I get the itch, but when you see music is a lot different these days, man. It's
Yeah.
just different, you know. You know, like I last year I did Motley Crue and Poison and the Def Leppard. You know, I worked the show, but I was there all day. I got to watch it, and
Hmm.
you know, and that was fun. But like with Def Leppard and Motley Crue, there was all this playback. You know, it's just different. You know, it's just. And then Poison came out, you know, and they were just raw, you know, and that was like that's the rock that I know. You know what I mean? So
I heard Poison took that show. I didn't see that tour, but
yeah, they were great. They were Poison. You know
uh-huh.
what I mean?
Just
Like
doing their thing.
just doing their thing, you know. And then the Motley Crue's great. And I love them, you know, and Def Leppard's good, but it's different, you know. It's
Yeah.
just not like it used to be, you know.
Yeah. What did
You
you do at the
know?
show? You said you worked it. What did you do there?
Yeah, I was part of the pyrotechnics team
Oh, that's fun.
at that
Sounds
show.
fun.
Yeah, it is. And I do a gig. I have a company with some guys out here called Just American Guys Stagehands. And I'm also in the union. We do stuff with the union, Stagehands Union out here. We do pyro for the Packers,
The
which
Green
is
Bay Packers,
Green Bay Packers, yeah.
not the
So
Chicago Bears.
no, not the Chicago Bears. But all the guys that do it are from Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just one of those weird gigs that one of the guys had been working it forever, and I wound up getting on that team, and it's actually fun.
What do
I
you do? Do
enjoy
you
it.
have to go set it up like way on
Set it
top of the
up, you
stadiums
know,
or
set up the pyro, and you know, plug it all up and get it, you know, you put it around the entire stadium, and
yeah.
you know, and let it go.
Do you get to press the button to get it to
I'm not the button presser guy, but I do get to put all the you know wiring and everything together, though.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
great.
yeah, we do. We have these explosive. They're called concussions, you know, and they're freaking loud. It's a like a quarter stick of dynamite,
Oh, geez.
you know, and these pipes, man, and they just like every time Aaron Rodgers would score a touchdown, they'd set those things off, and it's pretty crazy.
Oh man, sounds dangerous.
If you're not careful, it can be.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, I'm doing that, and you know, just enjoying life, enjoying the kids, and you know, just
Hmm.
working,
That's good, man.
playing my guitar, and learned. I learned Jose Feliciano's version of "Light My Fire" by
I
the
didn't.
Doors. I just
I didn't
learned
know there was
that.
a version.
Yeah, you know, Jose Feliciano,
Uh-huh.
kind of more of a jazzy flamenco-y version.
I'll have to look that
Yeah,
up.
just sitting in my room, you know. I got a few days of work in the city, go home for Father's Day, and I got a long week next week. And I'm in the studio tomorrow night with my partner working on a project.
Okay.
But
Now,
I could send you a couple links if you'd like of a couple of
yeah,
them that I have.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah,
Love to hear it. Now,
yeah.
your studio and your company with your partner. Now, do you guys? I was reading on your website that you do like, do you still do management and stuff? I think it was,
You
or
know, we were doing that, and that just got crazy. You know,
oh,
I learned right away how hard that job is.
oh
You
yeah,
know, trying to run a label and trying to do that. That was a project, you know, and then we tried to get into the hip hop thing,
yeah. I
you
noticed a
know,
lot of hip hop on your site.
and that got really crazy.
Hmm.
You know, it was really cool for a while, and then it just got dark,
Yeah.
and then it just wasn't working out. But now we're revamping it again. We had the opportunity to work with one of the American Idol winners. He
Hmm.
was on the label before he was an American Idol winner.
Okay.
So, you know, we had that happening, which was nice. It was fun, you know, exciting. The label got
Sure.
a little bit of a boost, you know, but yeah, I learned right away that managing bands is something I don't want to do.
I don't blame you.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you looking for bands? Like, do you still stay active with that or no?
No, I mean, we just like people come if somebody comes and says, "Hey, we want you to help us produce a song or help us write a song." That's kind of what we're doing right now. You
Okay.
know, we're working with a young lady right now. She's fantastic, and it's kind of like a um, Amy Winehouse kind of vibe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's really good. We're gonna have a couple of those tunes done in about a month.
Okay.
You know, so and you know, just doing that kind of thing, and it's nice. You know,
Hmm.
it really is.
You ever pick up your guitar and write a song or just jamming around and then you like, this could be a mind funk song?
Yeah, I do it every day. I do it all the
Any,
time.
what about getting together?
You know, I would give it I would give it a thought. And if Pat Dubar would be like, "Hey, let's do another record and make one more run," I'd say let's do it.
I think
You
now's the
know,
time,
you know,
really,
now
with the
would
way
be the
things
time.
going.
Oh yeah, music needs needs a little something. You know,
Well, with
I
all these
love like
festivals and these rock cruise
yeah.
ships and stuff, I mean, you guys
I
would
was
fit right in.
I was listening to that new song by Extreme. I don't know if you
Oh,
heard it, Rise.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's
That whole album.
phenomenal. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I got really excited when I heard that. Like I got chills,
Did
you
you
know,
try and
because
learn it?
oh yeah, I'm already yeah. I mean like it's because you know that was right around the time we were happening Extreme
Hmm.
as well. I mean it was that whole MTV 80s rock kind of thing happening, you know. But
Hmm.
I follow Nuno on
He's amazing.
Instagram, and it's great, you know. So I was that kind of thing makes me excited, yeah, and makes me want to be in a band again when I hear stuff like that.
What is Pat doing? Is he playing or is he just out of it altogether?
You know, I don't know because I haven't talked to him in a long time, you know,
Um,
and I know he was always a very athletic individual. I know he did baseball in college, and and I know he was coaching a football team, high school football team, and having success with that. And but I'm not really sure. I know he did the Corporate Avenger for a while. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-mm.
He's you remember the band Mind Over 4?
No.
Well, he was friends with that singer, and they did a weird rap thing called Corporate Avenger, and he did that for a while. And then there was another thing he did called Sitting Bull. I think that's what they were called. And but I don't know what he's doing now because we haven't. The only guy I really speak to from that band is John Monty,
You
and
still
it's
speak
very
with him?
seldom. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very seldom
Mm-hmm.
because he changes his phone number like every year.
Well, man, if you could somehow, if you guys could somehow work it out, that would be fantastic. I'd love
Yeah,
to.
I would give it a run.
Yeah.
I would give it a run.
Well, good, man.
Cool,
Well,
man.
listen, Lewis, it's great talking to you, bud.
You too, and I really appreciate the time. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Send
Well,
you a
listen,
couple links, and you can check out what I'm doing, and I'll keep an eye on the show.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing it, man.
Right on, brother.